Happy Wednesday evening to those of you. My name is Davidson Baker, Bradley Davis, Josh Sears, here to break down week 3, look ahead, and go over to some of the games that me, might have missed in our week 1 pick 5, but we waste no time. And we go ahead and begin tomorrow night in Santa Clara. 10.5, the 49ers are laying at home against the New York Giants. No Saquon Barkley for the New York Giants. No Andrew Thomas for the New York Giants. It's a long laundry list of injuries, Josh, and it's going to take a Herculean effort for the Giants, in my opinion, to even cover this number, let alone win this game on the road.
Yeah, this feels pretty insurmountable on a short week. Feels like a game that you probably think the 49ers could win with their eyes closed and one arm tied behind their back. I see another sloppy Thursday night game on the horizon, and we'll probably be talking about it next week. And not much surprise coming out of this game, I don't think, unless something unforeseen happens. But yeah, Brad, what's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, that Giants defense is terrible. It's going up against a pretty, stacked San Francisco offense. I'm not liking this game for the Giants. They've given up 68 points in the last 2 games total. So, and especially against the Cardinals, they looked really bad last week. Like I said in our last episode, I feel like if the Giants were playing a better team than the Cardinals, they wouldn't have came back and won that game. So, especially with not having your best running back and Saquon out there tomorrow night, I'm not liking the Giants. I easily can see San Fran covering that spread. I think it could be a really ugly Thursday night football game. Which the last 2, the Lions and Chiefs game was pretty good, and the Eagles game kind of started out a little bit slow and sluggish, but it kind of picked up a little bit. So. But it doesn't look like we're going to have that great of a game. It looks like it'll be a one-sided game.
Yeah, you said the defense concerns you with the Giants. The defense doesn't bother me as much. The offense, I don't know how they're going to cross the 50-yard line against the 49ers this week.
Yeah.
If I had to make a bet on a side or a total in this game, I would probably lean towards the under, just because I don't love laying 10.5. I think San Francisco can easily cover that number.
49ers are the side.
They definitely are the side. Yeah. But I think the 49ers could score 30, 35 points, and this game could still go under. Kind of like what we saw in week 1 with the Giants.
Yeah.
Some trends. The 49ers are 10-3 against the spread in their last 13. They're 7-0 against the spread in their last 7 games at Levi's. The Giants, it doesn't get much easier for the Giants after this game either. As I pull it up here, the Giants following tomorrow night will have Seattle at home, and then trips to Miami and to Buffalo, and then they welcome the Commanders for their first of 2 matchups with them in week 7. So it does not get a whole lot easier for the Giants going forward. I might lay the points. I'm not even kidding. I
can't say
I might lay it.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I have a best bet later in this game when we do our pick 5.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that shortly. A little foreshadowing.
No doubt. 1 o'clock Sunday, the Buffalo Bills are laying 6.5 on the road at the Washington Commanders. By the way, all of these odds are about as present of 7:30-ish p.m. on Wednesday, the 20th, and they are all provided by DraftKings Sportsbook. Total is 44 here. Buffalo with a big bounce back last week against the Raiders. Big, nice 4-touchdown victory. And Washington has a chance to go 3-0. Not many people would have had that on their NFL bingo cards this season, Brad.
Yeah, Washington kind of surprised me this past week against Denver's defense. I mean, they played really well in the second half. Sam Howell really played exceptionally well in the second half. He was completing, like Josh said in the last episode, 10 different targets to 10 different receivers. That's going to, really help the offense out, spreading the ball around, getting your playmakers to make the plays to, get you in positions to win the game. I like Washington in this game. I know Buffalo just came off a huge win against the Raiders, but the Raiders haven't really been all that great these past 2 weeks. So I think they're facing a better defense than they did last week with the against the Raiders. But I mean, I do like the under on this game. I think this can be kind of a sluggish kind of game where both defenses kind of, come out and, kind of control the game for both their teams. But I really do like Washington in this game. They proved a lot last week against Denver, especially against that defense that, like I said, can be a top 10 defense in the league and has been a top 10 defense in the league for many years.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite side of this game. I like a lot of what Washington has done to start this season. They're a really good feel-good story. I'm happy Sam Howell's playing well because I really like him and think he can be a promising young quarterback in the league. But they played who in the first 2 weeks?
Struggled
with Arizona.
They did.
Heavily. And they struggled with Denver.
We're down 21-3.
I mean, you gave up, 31 points to Broncos country? Let's ride?
32.
32. Yeah.
Even better.
6 of that on a last-second Hail Mary, but still, I mean, you gave up way too many points to a Russell Wilson-led offense. Guess what? It's not Russell Wilson walking into FedEx this week. It's still a pissed-off Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And I think he's still out to prove doubters from week 1 and probably try to cement an MVP race that's still wide open. So I would definitely lean Buffalo here. Maybe even the over if I just wanted to play a total here. Total is very intriguing to me. I think both these offenses can move the ball. Buffalo's defense hasn't been world beaters yet from what I've seen.
And Washington's offense looks like it can hold their own.
Washington's offense looks very, very good. If it's looking rough, you still may get a backdoor cover out of Sam Howell. He's going to be slinging it. Mm-hmm. And Eric Bieniemy's not going to go down without a fight, I don't think, in this game either.
I don't like laying 6.5 on the road.
Yeah.
Not with Buffalo. But the over is something I can definitely get down on, Josh. Buffalo's overs have cashed in 5 of their last 7 games. They are 8-1 against the spread in their last 9 games against Washington. That probably dates back to like 35 years ago, just because these teams play each other once every 4 years. Yeah. But regardless, it's going to be about protecting the football in this game for Buffalo and Josh Allen. And it's going to be about forcing some takeaways, I think, for Buffalo in this defense, because I think Washington's offense has gotten off to a great start, maybe off to a shaky-ish one in the first half of the first game. But last week, they really put things together in the second half, and I think they might have found something with that connection between Sam Howell and his targets. To Lambeau. 1 o'clock
game.
Very interesting game. Yep. The Packers are laying 2 at home against the Saints, over under 42. You know, Derek Carr has got to show me something. They do a segment every single week on PFT, where Pro Football Talk, not to be confused with PFT on Pardon My Take. They do a segment every week called Show Me Something Draft, where on Fridays they'll draft guys that need, or teams that need to show them something. And Derek Carr's got to be on that list, man. You know, you had drives stall out, you had drives fail to cash in inside the 5-yard line. You only scored 20 points against the Carolina team you could have scored a lot more on. You only scored 16 points against a very good Tennessee defense. But 18 points a game is not going to get it done in this league if they want to take the next step. And Brad, I know that's your favorite team. I think you want to see more from them too.
Yeah, the first half of each game against the Titans and Carolina has been kind of frustrating for me, especially with the offensive line play has not been good. They've not been protecting Carr the way that he should be protected, but also Carr has made some really dumb decisions in the first half. This team tends to be slow in the first half. They'll maybe get a couple field goals, but the second half they come out and play really well. Derek Carr has been pretty efficient in the second half, especially getting the ball to playmakers such as like Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. That's where they really tend to shine a lot these past 2 weeks. My biggest takeaway from this game is going to be the defense and how they play against Jordan Love. I know that the Packers are kind of struggling right now with some of their offensive linemen. I think like their left tackle is dealing with an injury, and so is one of their guards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also AJ Dillon, not AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones. He's dealing with an injury too, so we'll see what happens with that. And Christian Watson too. So there's a lot of things on the Packers side that that we have to really keep up with as we get closer to this game. But I think the biggest key here is the defense continuing to play the way they've been playing these past 2 weeks. Because, I mean, also Green Bay's defense is really good too. So it's going to be a test for New Orleans. I think this might be the weakest pass rush they've played so far this year. So, but it's not really like the easiest one, but it's not like super easy, but it's the easiest one they've played these past 2 weeks. So hopefully that offensive line for New Orleans can kind of pick up the slack that they've been having these past 2 weeks. I like the under on this game. I think
Me too.
New Orleans can,
I agree.
kind of figure it out a little bit on offense, but you're still going up against a really good defense in Green Bay. I really love what I've been seeing from Jordan Love. He's been balling out, and I think that this could be a little bit more exciting than the Carolina and Titans game, but I don't see it going on the over.
Yeah,
I
gun to
wouldn't
my
count on
head,
it.
forced to pick this game. I'm taking the under.
Me too.
But if I had to pick a side, I'm probably leaning New Orleans. And my only reasoning for that is we saw Jordan Love last week, and what this feels like is going to be a very similar game. Going to be a one-possession game, right down to the end of it. And Love wasn't able to really move the ball and sustain any offense down towards the end of the game and close the game out. So, and we've seen 2 weeks in a row, Derek Carr be able to lead the Saints down to close out games or take the lead late in games. And I think that is a trend that may continue here. Eventually, you're not going to win all these one-score games, but we saw the Vikings make a year out of it last season. It might be New Orleans' time this year. They've definitely got the weapons to do it. It's just a matter of if Carr can keep you in the game.
A few trends in this game. The under seems to be the play every time the Saints take the field. It has cashed in the last 8 Saints games dating back to last year. Dennis Allen, I'm pretty sure they said
Defense is so good.
Pretty sure Dennis Allen has, and his defense has kept opponents under 20 points for the last 9 games dating back to last year.
Last 10 games it's been under 20 points.
Yeah, I mean, you're averaging 16 points allowed per game. That's nothing to scoff at.
The total has gone
up against the most prolific offense either.
So the total has gone under in the last 8 Saints games in a row. The total has gone over in 7 of Green Bay's last 10. The Saints also, in the last 5 meetings against the Packers, have covered the number in 4 of them. An interesting one to look out for there. I think that's a big game for both teams. Green Bay can't fall to 1-2 if they want to keep pace. And we head to the team they need to keep pace with. The Detroit Lions are laying 3 at home. This line was fishy when it opened up. They're hosting the Atlanta Falcons over under 46.5. It opened up at 5.5. And people immediately jumped on Atlanta. I would have too at 5.5. Yep. Once you start to get to that 3, 2.5 range, you're going to start enticing me a little bit to take the feel-good Lions, Josh.
Yeah, I think Atlanta's a live dog in this game. Sharp money's on that for a reason. I know 5's probably way too many points, but I think Atlanta's got a chance to win this game outright. Desmond Ridder proved a lot last week, I thought, by being able to come back from down 12 points late in a game. That's a huge step in the right direction for him. But even just outside of that, the NFC South is starting to give me 2022 NFC East vibes. Like a division that
really?
was expected to not be very good going into the season and just continues to surprise everybody all season
Even
long.
with Carolina?
No, we are the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
We're atrocious. But, I mean, the other three teams, nobody expected them to do anything either. And, there were plenty of sharps out there that had Carolina being their pick to win the division. So, yeah, that's obviously not happening. But, no, these other three teams in the division are going to be thorns in everybody's side all season in the NFC. And I could very well see that division race coming down to it at the end of the season, and maybe even a division that puts two teams in the playoffs.
Very well could be, and it's trending in that direction right now, but only 2 games in. Some trends. Early. Atlanta are 4-9 against the spread in their last 13. Detroit 10-2 in their last 12. The under is the trend for both of these teams. Atlanta's had an under cash in 6 of their last 8. Detroit 4 of their last 6. The number I feel like is pretty sharp, though. 46.5, Brad, is put right at about where you'll have me stay away from it.
Yeah, I would probably lean towards the under on this game. I think both defenses in this game can have an opportunity to kind of showcase what they're capable of. Atlanta played really good the first 2 weeks against Carolina and Green Bay, and especially in the second half against Green Bay. Green Bay had kind of a collapse offensively in the second half. But I am liking Atlanta in this game. I think Detroit kind of sustained some injuries that might affect them quite a bit in this game, especially with C.J. Garner-Johnson going out and David Montgomery going out as well for him. I don't know if David Montgomery is going to be playing this week. I know he left with an injury last game, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. Hopefully Gibbs can start seeing more production out of the backfield as a runner and a receiver as well. But I think just that Atlanta's rush attack is just too much. Detroit has not faced a team like that yet. So their defense is going to be tested. Like you said, Josh, I think Ritter kind of proved a little bit more to me in the second half against Green Bay last week to make me start to wonder if maybe he's capable of doing something. Maybe that offense can start clicking on play actions and whatnot. But I'm definitely like Atlanta in this game. Detroit came off a pretty big heartbreak loss to the Seahawks last week, so I don't know if they're going to really be able to bounce back. I know they're at home, so they definitely don't want to start 1-2 and also have another home loss. But I like Atlanta so far; they've been playing pretty well.
Yeah, my official advice on this game: stay away from either side or total, and look for your favorite Bijan Robinson prop and hammer the over and sit back and enjoy the show.
My advice for this game is if it dips to 2.5, take Detroit. I think
Atlanta,
Atlanta is playing their first game on the road. Detroit, yes, they do have those injuries on the back end of their secondary. I just think that they are the better team by a considerable margin. If you're going to get a field goal to cover the spread at home, you take it.
Mm-hmm.
A couple teams with their backs against the wall. Another game indoors, this time at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. You have the Chargers and the Vikings, and one of these two teams, my friends, is going to be 0-3. Brad, if you had to guess right now, who is it going to be?
I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think I don't know if Cam Akers will play this week, and if he does, I don't know how much workload he'll get. But I like Kirk Cousins. He's been playing really well. I know Justin Herbert's been playing really well too, but that Chargers defense is just atrocious. And I know Minnesota's defense is also pretty bad too, but they showed a little bit of flashes against the Eagles in the first half the last Thursday night football game. So, listen, the over on this game is going to hit like a motherfucker. I think that this is going to be a high scoring game.
It's a lot of points.
we could see both quarterbacks throw for over 400 yards and like 5 touchdowns. I think this is going to be a air it out type of game, especially with Eckler probably going to be out. He didn't practice today, so it's kind of trending that he probably isn't going to play this week. So I think I think both teams are just going to air it out, and it really comes down to which quarterback and which receiver duo you like the most. And I like Herbert more, but I like Jefferson and Addison more. I've liked what I've seen from both of them, so I'm going to go Minnesota on this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking Minnesota. 1 o'clock, Kirk Cousins. He's
Yeah,
the best player.
Cousins.
He's the best
Afternoon.
player in football. I mean, he's the best player in the league. 1 o'clock, Kirk Cousins. What can I say? But no, I agree with you on the over. I really like that over. I don't think either of these defenses could stop a nosebleed.
Would you have the
Minnesota's
gumption to
secondary
play
is a
it?
Joke. Oh, I'm already on it.
Is it
Locking in
54?
today. I got 53.5.
Nice.
Yeah. I think this is going to continue to go up. I think this might close at like 55.
Yeah, it might.
It's going to get that up, I think, by Sunday. But I think I got a good number. I don't think you'll be able to find that by Sunday. But yeah, I think, but like you said, this could turn into a shootout fast. It could even start slow and still, I think, hit that number. But no, I think Minnesota, this is the first home game this season. Going into the Dome, the Chargers have already shown they struggled at second. I thought.
Yeah, they played Tampa Bay at home.
I thought they were in Tampa.
Tampa Bay was their home opener, yeah.
All right, bounce back, go. Second home game, come in, try to get a win after a disappointing loss to Tampa. I get Justin Herbert's coming in, but you've got opportunities to attack their defense. I don't know. This is going to be a coin toss game. I really think you could take either side because it's going to come down to whichever offense has the. Yep, exactly. Yep. It's going to come down to whoever gets the last possession, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Did you guys see Staley snap on the reporter?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
has early exit written all over it.
Talking about does last year's Jacksonville game carry into
the Jacksonville game? Yeah,
year? That pissed him off.
Yeah. It has hot seat written all over it.
He looks frazzled.
When it comes to that kind of question, it's like we're in this year. Like I understand, you kind of want to bring that back and whatnot, but I mean we're in this year.
You got to keep your composure a little bit better than that, though. Who goes first? Who goes first? Him or Eberflus?
Well, I think coming into today, I might have said Staley, but after the circus that happened at Hallis Hall today, they got all kinds of problems.
Dude, he might not be there after this week.
I think that's a little
if they get hammered by the Chiefs,
which they will.
Exactly. I think the writing is on the wall in Chicago.
To the dog pound. Cleveland is laying 3.5 after that abysmal performance on Monday night against the Steelers. And once again, we have Mike Vrabel as a dog. Mike Vrabel as a
dog at that.
A field goal and a hook too.
Exactly.
The side is clearly Tennessee, in my opinion.
Which makes me want Cleveland even more.
Oh, give me a break. Tell me why I'm wrong.
This line makes no sense to me. No sense to me.
Yeah.
Because Nick Chubb goes down, and because I saw this at 3 before that.
It ended up getting to 3.5 when I was entering the spreads of about an hour and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. It was at 3, and now it has gone up to 3.5. How? Like
it is still 3.5, by the way.
But how do you lose Nick Chubb and the spread goes the opposite direction? Just doesn't make any sense to me.
77% of the bets and 77% of the handle are on Tennessee as well.
Yeah, Tennessee is extremely public. The way Cleveland covers this, Myles Garrett takes over. He is going to dominate this game. He's going to force Ryan Tannehill into pooping and peeing all over himself.
All over
He may
himself.
not finish this game. We might see Malik Willis. We might see Will Levis finish this game. I don't know. But Tennessee's offense is not going to do much in this game unless Derrick Henry is a man amongst boys like we all know he can be. But there's also a reason why Tajay Sharp, I think, is getting a good percentage of snaps right now. I don't know if Derrick Henry is fully back to 100%. So that's something to keep an eye on, I think.
You see the stats on the screen here. The Browns are in the top 3 in rush yards per game, defensive pass yards per game, and defensive rush yards per game. But that right there, the passing yards per game, 26th in the National Football League through 2 weeks, Brad.
Yeah, I am kind of leaning Tennessee in this game a little bit. I think this is going to be definitely an under game where it's like a 17-10, 20-17 type of game. I think losing Nick Chubb is going to hurt Cleveland's offense more than I think a lot of people are expecting it to. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people are sitting there saying, like, Nick Chubb, getting hurt is a huge blow to Cleveland. But I think in terms of Deshaun Watson's progression, coming back from not playing football for 2 years and playing 4 games last year, I think it hurts his progression a lot because he doesn't have a solid run game to rely on. So that's going to be a little bit concerning. But I mean, also on the other side of the ball, Tennessee has not really looked all that great. I know Tannehill played pretty well last week, but that was against the Chargers defense, who has also not looked great. I did like what they did with Derrick Henry last week. They gave him more of the rush attempts. Besides, week 1 where they kind of split the carries with him and Spears. So I'm hoping that they actually continue to do that and help Tannehill. Because, I mean, that was the biggest thing when Tannehill was, consistently being successful on the play actions was actually establishing the run. So I think that's going to be a big key for Tennessee is to come out early and start pounding that motherfucker. Just start handing it off to Derrick Henry. Let him have 30 carries by halftime. Don't let Tannehill throw the ball even once before half. But I like the under on this game. I'm leaning a little bit more towards Tennessee just because I like their defense a little bit more. I think they've been playing really well these past 2 weeks. So, but I think this could be a coin toss. I think it's either Cleveland if Deshaun can, come out and actually perform very well, or if Tennessee can come out and just start pounding the ball with Derrick Henry.
What if I told you I think Cleveland's offense gets better?
Without
really?
Chubb?
Yeah. And it's not a knock on Nick Chubb. I think Stefanski switches things up. I think we see a much more open offense, not as much under center, drop back, play action passing. Deshaun Watson, I've been watching a lot of Deshaun Watson since Monday night. Not just him in Cleveland, but also him in Houston. And he's a volume passer. You drop him back 30 to 40 times a game, let him get in a rhythm, let him see and scan the whole field, stop cutting the field in half for him. I think if you see Stefanski do that in this game, you're going to see a much, much different version of Deshaun. And I hope to see more David Bell on the field than Elijah Moore. He's a much better receiver. Moore cost Deshaun multiple big completions on Monday night. I think I can remember 3 offhand that were deep shots down the field, would have been big conversions that he's just lack of field awareness to get his feet in bounds. So Deshaun didn't play as bad as a lot of people may lead you to believe.
This is the perfect game to do exactly what you're saying, too, against a defense that's 28th in the league in passing yards allowed, 3rd in the league in rushing yards allowed, and you just lost your star running back. I mean, there's no better week to do it than
time for an offensive overhaul.
Yeah, yep. Agreed. To Jacksonville, laying 9.5 at home are the Jaguars against CJ Stroud and company, who are starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm on offense. We're starting to recognize who CJ Stroud likes to throw the ball to. that being Nico Collins, Robert Woods, and a little bit of Tank Dell mixed in. Yeah, a little bit of Tank Dell. I have him rostered on 3 teams, and I could not feel better about it. Over under 44. This is going to be another game, I feel like, Josh, where Houston set Stroud back 45, 46 times.
They got to stop.
Just try to throw the ball as many times as they
stop.
can. Yeah.
They're going to get him killed. I mean, there's a lot of possessions I've seen where he's just running for his life back there. He's playing pretty well, all things considered. But no, this game, to me, screams over. I feel like this total should be set closer to 46, maybe even 46.5. I think Jacksonville, after scoring 9 points last week, is going to come out and look to put up points early and often and try to embarrass Houston. And Houston, like you said, they're slinging it around the yard. And I don't see the clock stopping a lot in this game because there's not going to be a whole lot of running of the football on either side. Neither one of these teams seems to like to run the ball very much. See, it feels like a recipe for an over, or even a backdoor over with Houston late in the game. I could see like a 35-10 finish or something like that with a late touchdown in garbage time. Yeah, I mean, it could get ugly. So, obviously, I mean, I would lean -9.5 Jacksonville. I think that defense also showed some improvement last week against Kansas City, albeit anemic Kansas City offense. Brad?
Yeah, I'm liking the over on this game too. I think Jacksonville comes out this week and kind of, shrugs off what they did last week against Kansas City's defense and puts up some points, especially in the red zone. Like I talked about it, in the last episode, they went 0-3 in the red zone this past week against Kansas City, so I think they improve on that. They don't let those opportunities slip away against a Houston team, a Houston defense that isn't all that great, who just gave up 31 points to the Colts. So, yeah, I'm liking Jacksonville this game. I do think Stroud could potentially have a really big game. But like you guys said, there should be no reason why they're having him throw the ball 40 to, almost 50 times a game, especially with Dameon Pierce back there as your running back. He has barely been eclipsing like 15 carries a game. That's got to stop. You got to establish the run game in this offense so then Stroud doesn't feel the pressure of having to, air it out, like I said, 40 to 50 times a game. Establish the run early, especially against a Jacksonville team that gave up 72 yards rushing to Pacheco, who was averaging I think 6.2 yards a carry. Start that run game early. See if you can, get some kind of momentum. But overall, I like Jacksonville this game. I think they bounce back from last week. I don't think they score only 9 points. I think they take the opportunities in the red zone very seriously and capitalize and get the job done.
There's, in my opinion, potential for last week to kind of creep into Jacksonville's head a little bit going forward. We will hear more about this game later on in my pick 5.
Okay.
Plug your nose. The total is 36.5 at the New Meadowlands, or not even really the New Meadowlands anymore. Just like the 10-ish-year-old Meadowlands. The Patriots look to make it 15 in a row against the Jets and are favored on the road. And you may see +3 on the screen, but do not be fooled. DraftKings is the only book that's hanging 3 right now. Every other book is hanging 2.5. Everyone else is hanging 2.5.
Some places even 2, I think.
It's Bill Belichick against not necessarily a rookie quarterback, but against someone that might as well still be in his 3rd year in the league, Brad.
Yeah, what was last year's score between them? Wasn't it 10-3 or something like that?
That was so one of the games. Yeah, was 10-3 because there was a punt return housed.
Was that a Mike White game?
There was a punt return. I don't believe so.
No, it wasn't because Zach Wilson played that game.
Wilson played.
I will look
I'm pretty
it up
sure
while
Wilson did
you
play.
deliberate.
But,
yeah, I think that could be this type of game. I think the Jets defense is good enough to kind of contain Mac Jones and that New England offense. An offense that hasn't, while it's shown flashes, really hasn't boasted any kind of confidence into me to think that they could score a lot of points on a defense like this. So I think this could be a very ugly game in terms of a defensive battle. New England's defense has really surprised me. I thought they were a lot better these past 2 weeks than I thought coming into the season. So, I mean, and especially the Jets, they have to start establishing the run a little bit more. I know that they did that pretty well week 1 against the Bills, but week 2, they did nothing against the Cowboys. Absolutely nothing. Brees Hall even, shared some concerns about not getting the ball that much, which I think he's dealing with an injury as well. So I guess that's something else to keep an eye on. But yeah, I think this game's going to go on. Yeah, I think this game could go in the under heavily. I think this is going to be a very ugly game. I do not I think this is going to be a big defensive game. I think that both defenses are stout. I'm not really loving what I'm seeing from New England. I think Mac Jones has played pretty well the first 2 weeks, but against that Jets defense that I think is going to come back and bounce back from last week against what they did in Dallas, I think that they come back and kind of play a little bit better. If I had to, I'd probably lean towards the Jets covering. I know that sounds crazy, but at the same time, I just like their defense a little bit better. But I don't see this being I see this being a very defensive, entertaining game, but not anything offensively.
So confirmed it. Both games were Zach Wilson, both of them, including the 10-3 one. Zach Wilson was 9 for 22 for 77 yards.
What would you say if I told you Bills start 0-3?
I would disagree vehemently.
Well, it's coming.
No, it's
Raheem
not.
Mostert gashed this defense.
He did
on Sunday night. And Brees Hall, squeaky wheel game incoming. I mean, he looked great in week 1. I don't know why he didn't get more run in week 2. But whether it's him or Dalvin Cook, I think both guys are still better than Mostert right now. And Mostert looked like an all-world back against this defense. I look for the Jets to run the ball 30 to 35 times. Try to keep this as few possessions as possible of a game and hope they can force Mac Jones into some mistakes. I look for Sauce Gardner to have a good bounce-back game after a tough performance against CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys.
But there wasn't covering CeeDee Lamb, bro.
I don't know. I still haven't made it back to that game yet.
He was only with him for one snap, bro.
Yeah, but either way, he's a good defensive back. I look for him to make a play, and none of these receivers are CeeDee Lamb. They have, like I talked about on yesterday's pod, 3 of the exact same body type and skill set at receiver.
I like the Chargers minus Keenan Allen.
Exactly. This feels like a tough matchup, and I think MetLife's going to be rocking for a team that had Super Bowl aspirations going into the season and have that ripped away. They
want to beat the Patriots bad.
This is their Super Bowl. They're going to come in. I know Bill wants to win and obviously still thinks he has chances to get into the playoffs. That doesn't mean that team feels that way. I think you could see some guys start to shut down if this game stays close. And I think you see some guys for the Jets get amped up because they want to go kick the shit out of New England. I think the Jets are live here as a home dog.
I normally love me some home dogs.
But not this one.
Yeah, we'll see. Speaking of trying to avoid going 0-3 on the road, the Denver Broncos, you want to talk about backs against the wall, and they got to play arguably the hottest team in the first 2 weeks of the season, the Miami Dolphins, who are laying 6 at home with an over-under of 48. Pretty sharp lines, I think, both ways. I might not get anywhere near this game at all. I don't know what to expect.
Not
out of Denver, particularly. defensively or offensively. Like,
Can't touch this
could
game.
you blame me?
Can't touch this game. How can you?
No.
You've seen two different versions of this Denver team through 2 weeks. Miami looked phenomenal in week 1 on the offensive side of the ball. They looked good on the offensive side of the ball in week 2, but looked like they kind of regressed to the norm, I think, a little bit offensively. And the defense, I don't feel like you don't really know what you're getting with them either. They got eviscerated in week 1 and then looked better in week 2. It is against a much lesser group of offensive weapons than they faced in week 1. Denver, I don't know, but a lot of questions still in Denver. I can't trust them though. Like, I would have to take Miami if I'm forced to pick a side here. I backed Denver last week and they screwed me royally. So yeah, I wouldn't touch this game. No way, shape, or form am I touching this game this week. Miami should cover, but I don't know.
Yeah. I like Miami covering in this game. I know Jalen Waddle was dealing with an injury last Sunday night, so I don't know exactly his status. I don't even know if he practiced today or not. So I guess that's something else to keep an eye on. I thought Miami did a really good job of establishing the run against the Patriots last week. I think Raheem Mostert had a really solid game. I kind of expect that to continue with Denver, who kind of struggled against Brian Robinson this past Sunday. This is going to be Denver's biggest test in terms of the defense going up against a very solid offense. They played against the Raiders week 1, which I don't think they're all that great offensively, and then they played against the Commanders, who are still trying to figure it out, and they figured it out in the second half pretty well. But this is a more explosive offense that Denver's going up against, especially Tua. I keep on talking about it, but they've been doing a really good job of protecting Tua. So I think that's going to be another key for Miami to make sure that Tua stays up and does not get hit at all. So yeah, I'm liking Miami in this game. Denver, I'm just not really impressed with what they've been doing these past 2 weeks, especially bringing in Sean Payton. I thought there would be more of a cultural shock to it, but it just feels like the same team from last year,
Literally,
which is kind of surprising.
Yeah,
it's the exact same team.
doesn't
So
feel
like,
any different.
yeah, I'm not really looking for Denver to really show me anything new. I think that they're just a team, that we've seen these past 2 weeks. I don't love their matchup defensively, especially if Waddle can play. And Denver's offensive line has been a big issue. I mean, the Commanders got to Wilson 7 times. So expect this game for Miami to really build up that pass rush a little bit more than what they have been these past 2 weeks. And but I don't know about the over and under. It could go on the over if the Dolphins come out and just start fucking just striking it here and there, here. But if Denver's defense actually comes to play, like I think they should be able to, then it could hit the under. But I would lean more towards Miami covering the spread than picking anything on the over and under.
Yep.
I
The only
ain't
thing
taking a
intriguing
Miami under unless it's in the 50s.
The only intriguing thing in this game for me is Tyreek Hill versus Pat Surtain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But other than that, I don't want to watch anything about this game.
Yeah.
Get to see Russell Wilson and Sean Payton go 0-3 together.
That I like.
Yeah, that's adorable.
Broncos
That makes me smile.
We're not really sure of the status of Anthony Richardson going into this weekend as the Colts travel to the bank. 7.5-point favorites are the Ravens at home. It does not look good for Anthony Richardson as of today. It is only Wednesday, but he did not practice today and remains in concussion protocol. Normally, if you read the writing on the wall there, it means we're going to see Gardner Minshew. I don't know how much the line will move, even if Gardner Minshew, I should say, makes his way into the lineup on Sunday.
That's cold.
I really don't think the line will move either way, honestly. I think this line is pretty well guarded against both sides. I mean, how many points is Gardner Minshew worth?
Oh, I wasn't.
Or is
talking
Anthony
about you talking
Richardson
about-
worth?
Did you call him
Yeah.
Minshew?
No, I did not.
Minshew.
That's why I said that's cold. I
No,
thought you
no,
said
no.
Minshew. I was like,
No, I
damn,
didn't
that's
say that.
tough.
No,
Oh,
I wasn't
no.
talking. I wasn't talking about the points. I was. I thought that
Yeah.
was what you said, and I was like, oh, that's
No,
rough.
I thought I said it like, you ever hear people sometimes talk about like where they say the letter I, like the letter E,
Do you
like
think
they
you
want to
said
go
chew?
feshing. No, I thought I said Menshew.
Menshew. Okay.
Menshew.
Got
Like
you.
men wearing shoes.
Yeah, I thought you said Midshew, and I was
Like
like,
you never
damn,
heard
that's
like
tough.
there was a girl I went to high school with that would always say fish like fesh. Like we're going
Oh.
feshing.
Fresh.
I want a glass of
Feshing?
milk.
Ugh,
And you were just like,
Oh,
dude,
Jesus.
that's awful.
who taught you English? Baltimore laying though more than a touchdown at home. Should Baltimore be laying more than a touchdown at home against anybody with the way that they've kind of teeter-tottered a little bit? They've beaten they're 2-0 and they beat a good Bengals team on the road last week. But I don't know if they deserve to be touchdown under or touchdown plus favorites even at home, Josh.
I think that line is very telling for that reason, because it doesn't really make sense for them to be that big of a favorite yet. But with the way they've thrown the ball, you see a little more continuity in this offense. Indianapolis secondary is not good, to put it nicely. And whether it's a rookie quarterback or Gardner Minshew, God, you got me saying Minshew now. Gardner
Yeah,
Minshew,
I know, right?
God, Gardner Minshew. Either way, you're playing a young, inexperienced quarterback. Well, Minshew to an extent, but an average quarterback. I look for that defense to get after whoever's back there and force some mistakes.
Same.
So I think that'll be the deciding factor in the spread, because I don't look for Baltimore to turn the ball over against Indianapolis unless Lamar fumbles again.
I would be terrified of getting backdoored if I had a Baltimore ticket. I'm just going to say that right now.
I would be too. I would be too. But I feel like when placing these larger spreads, you can't place it on the idea of getting backdoor covered. You know.
But it has to stick in your mind, especially at these numbers like
but
7.5.
That's why I feel like you just have to. But that's the thing, dude. That's the point of setting it. I think at this 7.5 number, I feel like is it makes you want to take Indianapolis. But I just feel like Baltimore is the side. I feel like Baltimore is probably, if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, 2 scores better than this Indianapolis team. I mean, we're talking about a team that I know 2 of us, if not all 3 of us, had as one of the top 2 seeds in the AFC. Right?
2 of you.
Yeah.
You
had
guys.
them a little lower.
I
But
had 'em 7.
we all think that they are one of the top teams in the AFC. They just happen to be in a tough division. And Indianapolis is a bottom feeder in the worst division in football. That, to me, feels like a 2-score differential right there. I think this game could get very out of hand if the defense rattles whoever's playing quarterback. So if I'm picking a side, and I may end up playing Baltimore, if that gets down to 7, no hook, give me Baltimore easily. But yeah, that would be my lean. I wouldn't touch the total in this game.
No
Cut out.
No 7s right now. All 7.
No 7s. Yeah, it may move by Sunday, but the 7.5 wouldn't scare me off per se if I loved the play.
Brad.
Yeah, I'm loving Baltimore in this game. I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of their receivers to kind of break out. I think this could be a big game for Lamar in terms of the passing game. And the Colts have not been really that great against the pass. They gave up a lot of yards to Trevor Lawrence week 1, and even though they won last week, they gave a lot of yards up to C.J. Stroud through the air. So I'm looking for Baltimore to really start establishing that passing game more. I think last week they kind of established the run game more, which is kind of crazy because they didn't have J.K. Dobbins, but Gus Edwards came in and kind of played a really solid game on the ground. And I expect this to be a huge, huge Zay Flowers game. I think that this is a game where he really pops off and really shows what he's capable of. I like Baltimore covering the spread. I think that this could be a 2-score kind of game where they win it by 2 scores. I might even like the over a little bit. Just because I think Baltimore is capable of scoring, 30, 35 points. But Indianapolis can score. I think that, Gardner Minshew, I think he's definitely less dynamic than Richardson. I think we can all agree. He's not that, explosive type of quarterback that can make plays with his feet. But he's been in the league. He's started before. He has, a lot of experience. This Indianapolis offense is a little bit better than what I expected. Pittman's really shown that he can be a really solid number one receiver. What's their running back? Oh my gosh,
Zach
why am I
Moss.
blanking on
Zach
his?
Moss.
Yeah, he's been playing pretty good through the past 2 weeks. So I think Indianapolis can score a little bit, but I think
Yep.
Baltimore just comes out and just really dominates this game early on. And I see Baltimore, advancing to 3-0 and continuing to be dominant as I kind of predicted in the preview.
Look out for Kylan Granson at tight end. He's had a solid start to the
Yep.
season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he'll post a picture on Instagram of his second touchdown. Did you see his pic he put on Instagram of
I didn't
him
see it, but
pretending
I heard
like
about it.
his first touchdown catch was like is like a child, and like he wrapped it up in like baby cloth, and like he and his wife are out there like holding it like this. I never seen any shit like that before.
What a guy. I'm rooting for him just because.
All right, so all 3 4:00 games have spreads of at least 6, and one of them is 6, and the other 2 are twice as large. We will hit the one that's 6 first. Probably going to be the local game for us here in this area this weekend on CBS, sadly, as the Carolina Panthers travel to Lumen Field to take on the Seattle Seahawks. Over under 42. Seahawks laying 6 at home. What Seattle are we going to get here? Are we going to get the Seattle that showed up last week? Or are we going to get the Seattle that showed up in the first half against the Rams and should have been up 9 at the half? Or are we going to get the Seattle that posted a donut in the second half against the Rams? I think that's really the question when it comes to the spread. I think Carolina, of all of the 0-2 teams so far, other than the ones like the Bengals, Chargers, Vikings, like all the bottom feeder 0-2 teams like the Cardinals and the Bears and the Texans, I do think after seeing the first 2 weeks, I give Carolina an edge over those other 3 0-2 teams in terms of when they're going to start to click first. I know that was a lot of word salad, but I think Carolina will figure it out before Chicago does. I think Carolina will figure it out before Arizona does. And I think Carolina will figure it out before Houston does, Brad.
Yeah, I like Seattle in this game. I've like you said, I going into the season, I kind of viewed Carolina as a team that was going to take some time to kind of build up their identity offensively. Defensively, they've always been super solid. They've been to me a very sneaky good defense, especially their pass rush has been really solid. I know they lost Shaq Thompson Monday night, so that's going to be a huge blow to their defense, especially also losing J.C. Horn. But I think we are going to see the week 2 Seattle team come out here. I think Geno kind of played a little bit, actually a lot better than he did week 1 against the Rams. I think that offense, in terms of the receiving core, is starting to gel pretty nicely. So, and I hope Kenneth Walker has a little bit of a better game than he did last week. I know he had the 2 rushing touchdowns, but I mean, this Carolina defense, their rush defense gave up about 150 yards to New Orleans last Monday. So I expect Seattle to kind of establish a run a little bit early on in this game. I like Seattle covering. I actually think it might be a little bit of a low-scoring game, just because even though with Carolina losing Shaq Thompson, I still like their defense. They have playmakers on that side of the ball, but I think ultimately, Seattle comes out here covering the spread at 6.
Seattle 29th in the NFL in points allowed per game, 30th in the NFL in passing yards per game. What happened to this defense, Josh?
I don't know, but it's not going to matter this week because we're throwing to old man Thielen 5 yards down the field 9 times a game. Yeah. Do I have to watch this game? Like, I know it's my team, but do I have to watch it?
You have that, or you can watch the Cowboys and the Cardinals, or you can watch the Bears and the Chiefs.
Been watching Josh Dobbs.
This 4:00 slate, bro, on Sunday is a perfect time to go get your grocery shopping done.
Yeah.
To maybe get some,
take a nap.
Some
I might
yard
just take a
work
nap.
done.
I might just take a nap.
Yeah, just take a nap. Wait for the Sunday night game.
And back on a little more of a serious note, Bryce Young, 3rd career start. He has played on Monday Night Football. He played against that ferocious Atlanta team in Atlanta. Tough way to start the season, and going to Atlanta, playing on Monday night against the Saints, and then having to go to the home of the 12s.
Yeah.
He's not going in there. He's not keeping it into a 1-score game, and it's nothing to do with him. It's everything around him that's failing him right now. And I look for by midseason for this to start to take shape, but they've got to go get a receiver. Like, I know you don't have the pieces to go trade for guys right now, but you have to bring in something, even if it's making a move like the Vikings did today for Cam Akers. Go give up a late round pick swap for Hunter Renfrow. The Raiders aren't using him.
Yeah.
And he's definitely a little more athletic than what Adam Thielen is right now. So I think that can give you a little bit of a jolt to your offense. But, for this game, Carolina's defense is good, but it's going to get tired. It's going to be on the field a lot. The secondary without J.C. Horn doesn't inspire me very much. Look for Geno to have another really good game. As long as they can protect him up front like they did last week, that's going to be the big deciding factor. But I think this is a 2-score game. I'd lean under just because I don't think Carolina can score.
Well, a couple of trends you might hate, and these are pretty pointless trends. The total has gone over in the last 5 games where Carolina has played at Seattle, and has gone over in the last 7 meetings between these two teams, period. The total
I hope so.
Gone over. And
I hope it does.
With Seattle's defense right now, you can't. I mean, that's not enough points for me.
Maybe Jonathan Mingo figures it out. I hope.
Yeah.
Maybe
He's fast,
Bryce
dude.
get on the
He
same
is fast.
page. Yeah, he can play, but it's
them Ole Miss receivers, brother. Ole Miss receivers.
Maybe he'll turn into AJ Brown Sunday.
So
wait a minute. This has got to be wrong. Arizona minus 12.
Oh, plus 12.
Yeah.
Plus 12. Let's fix that. Let's fix this.
I was like, I'm hit. Oh my god.
Let me log into the sportsbook real quick.
They would must have known that like Bane was gonna come in like from the movies, and just swamp down and kill
Micah
Dak
Parsons,
Prescott,
CeeDee Lamb, and Dak just all die.
Kill them all,
dude. Even just take away Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, and
12-point favorites on the road are the Dallas Cowboys. I'm gonna continue on with my survivor streak here of fading the Cardinals. I'm gonna do it this week, and I'm gonna do it again next week when the Cardinals play.
You gotta keep it going, dude. Every week, it's every week to the end of the
I don't know,
dude. They're going 0-17.
Yeah, I mean that's a real. I mean they're gonna have to play the same team twice, 4 different times, or 3 different times.
Kyler,
don't care. The Rams were the only one I thought that they could beat, and the Rams are way better.
Well, but
Kyler
I'm saying
that picture. That video,
he
looks like he might come back. He might come
later
back.
this season.
He might get him one win.
He ain't coming back.
Might get him one win.
He ain't coming back.
Hey, is Arizona 2-0 if Kyler plays in both games? I think so.
Maybe the Giants game.
Oh, they would have beat the Commanders too. The Commanders needed the last second score.
If Kyler plays, but
I
don't know. He's
the
also
Giants
prone
game,
to
they
some dumb mistakes at times too.
Yeah, the defense definitely.
He could also have
played
them out of those games at some point.
Yeah.
I don't find that as likely as the former. However, you would think they're at least 1-1 at the very worst. So, not a lot of opportunities here, I don't think. I think both of these lines are pretty sharp. I think 43 is probably appropriate. Dallas is going to get absolutely after Arizona at the line of scrimmage. They are ranking first in points scored per game and points allowed per game and takeaway differential and defensive passing yards allowed per game. In the top 10 in both rushing categories, rushing yards per game and defending the run, the Cowboys are 8th and 9th respectively. Haven't had to throw a whole lot, so they're sitting at 20th. Like you said about the last game, like, do I really have to watch this? Like, I can't. I just like check the scores on it and just see my survivor go into week 4 and then really go into week 5 after Arizona loses to the Cowboys and 49ers in back-to-back weeks. That's how I see it.
I would I would endorse backing Dallas any possible way you can, or fading Arizona any possible way you can, whether that's on team totals, whether that's on first half spreads, whether that's on a first quarter spread. I don't see any way Arizona hangs in this game with the way Dallas has looked through 2 weeks. There's no path to it, I don't think.
Mm. Hell, give them a win in the coin toss for me. I mean, that they're going to win everything in this game. I mean, I feel bad for anybody that's going to be playing against Dallas's defense in fantasy football because they're probably going to hang like 40 points this week. It's going to. I think it's going to be very ugly. I think Arizona has not really. Yeah, exactly. Arizona has not played a defense this good. I do not see any chance whatsoever that they contend in this game. I think this is just Dallas coming in here, handling business, getting on a plane, and going back home and looking forward to week 4. So there's not really much from this game. Yeah, like put all your money on Dallas. They're going to come in here and dominate. I do hope to see Pollard have a better game than he did last week. I know I talked about it a little bit. I mean, he had a great game in the receiving game, but the run game, he was only averaging 2.9 yards a carry, so I definitely see him picking that up more this game. But, yeah, this is Dallas's game, like 100%. I don't see any scenario where Arizona even hangs in this game.
What do you guys think the last time Dallas beat Arizona was?
Well,
just give me a year.
It's not too crazy. Year.
Yeah, it's not too crazy, but it surprised me. 4 games in a row, Arizona
blowout in prime time
Monday night during the COVID year, and there was one sandwiched in between there. Arizona beat them in 2021 as well.
Okay.
Arizona beat them in 2018 as well. It was 2017.
17. Wow.
It's been 6 years since the Cowboys have beaten the Cardinals.
Jerry gonna get his revenge.
Jesus.
You got to have it happen at some point. And now to the NFL's most captivating soap opera, the Chicago Bears. It is. It's America's game of the week. You're gonna have
that's silly. That's so silly.
You're gonna have Burkhart and Greg Olsen on the call for this game.
The most interesting of all of them.
Of the 3,
yeah.
Just because you're going to get to watch Fields and the offense melt down a little bit further.
What other storylines do you have in the other 2 games, really?
Nothing.
None.
Nothing at all.
This is the only one with any storylines.
Yeah.
It's a shame we're not flexing yet. I want to take the Chiefs, but what has their offense done to inspire us that they can?
This number's going south too, bro. This number's going south. It was at 14 2 days ago. It's at 12.5 now.
14's way too much. But it also, I don't know, it feels like it could be a get-right game for the Chiefs offense potentially because the Bears defense sucks. So the 12.5, if it keeps dropping, you may look to hit it. The under feels like a pretty solid bet for this game at 47.5, I think. So neither of these offenses have done anything to inspire us. I was actually looking at the team totals, though. I think Kansas City's is set at 30.5 points. That tells me Vegas thinks they're putting it up this week. And they very well may against this sorry Chicago defense who might just pack it in with everything going on right now.
Second to last
Yeah.
in the NFL in points allowed per game in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, they've been
Jesus,
horrible.
man.
I mean, and that's what to the Bucks and to who'd they play?
The
last
Packers.
week? Packers.
Packers,
And
yeah.
neither of those offenses have really looked prolific.
No,
I
not
mean,
at all.
what a defensive touchdown was part of that scoring by Green Bay against Chicago. So, Chicago team total under. The offense isn't moving the ball. Like, I don't want to watch this game either. I'll watch it just to hear the commentary from. Is Troy and Buck on this game?
Troy and Buck are on ESPN now. You uncultured
That's right.
swine.
God, I can't adjust
It's
yet. Give me a couple weeks.
It's Burkhart and Olsen who did the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, it'll be fun too. But yeah, I don't know. This game sucks. Maybe we see Pat figure it out with the receivers.
Yeah. I think this is a big Travis Kelce game. I think last week he was kind of slow coming back into the offense. Like I said, he missed preseason and week 1. So kind of, usual for a player like that who's missed that much time to kind of slowly get back into the game. I mean, hell, he did have a touchdown though last week. But I think this is a game where Travis Kelce gets back into his rhythm. I think this is going to get ugly. It's been getting ugly in Chicago. I thought last week would have been a great opportunity for Justin Fields to kind of get his rhythm back and kind of build more confidence. But I don't know. I like going into the season, I was very high in Chicago. I think they made the right moves in the offseason to get this team to be better than what they were last year. But it just doesn't seem to be the case. It just seems they keep on trending down. Justin Fields, to me, has not really progressed as a quarterback. And going up against a Kansas City defense that's been really solid these past 2 weeks, I don't really see them having any kind of opportunities to really flash in this game. And yeah, I don't know about I don't know. I do think Kansas City just comes out here and just whacks them. I mean, I really do. I think this is a game, like you said, Josh, where I think Patrick Mahomes does get it right. I think this is a game where the Chiefs offense starts clicking a little bit more. And hopefully this is a game where we really finally get to see who that number 1 receiver in Kansas City is going to be.
Yeah,
keep an eye
on
could be anybody.
Rice. Keep an eye on Rashid Rice.
Yeah.
I think his snap percentage went up last week from week 1. Pat looked his way a couple times from what I saw. I think they're going to try to integrate him into this offense a little bit more, and I think that might start this week.
Yeah.
I'm still asking myself, where is Justin Ross? Can we please have more Justin
Ross?
Yeah.
Take us home, Carrie Underwood to Las Vegas. Sunday Night Football, a matchup between two, old-time rivals, two teams that played each other a shit ton in the playoffs in the 70s and the 80s. A different day we dawn now. The Las Vegas Raiders are 2.5-point favorites at home with the over-under set at 43 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here's what I'll say right off rip. And look, Vegas hasn't done much either, but what has Pittsburgh done that warrants them being such small underdogs on the road against an offense that's going to move the ball a lot more fluidly than they do?
Employ Mike Tomlin.
That's about it.
That's about it. And the defense is awesome. And they're playing the Raiders. That's the only reason this line is what it is. I actually probably think this game should be closer to a pick'em because I don't trust the Raiders either. I
still like the Raiders.
They're probably the right play, but I can't. I can't trust Jimmy G. I can't trust Josh McDaniels. I can't trust that Raiders defense, even against a shitty Pittsburgh offense.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like a game kind of like Monday night. TJ Watt's going to put the team on his back, and Alex Highsmith and Mike Tomlin's going to do everything he can to get them in the best scenarios, and they find a way to grind out another primetime victory to me. I would lean Pittsburgh. I would also probably lean under in this
Yes.
game. I mean, I don't see any way either of these offenses moves the ball really well. Pittsburgh has a better chance than Vegas, in my opinion, because Vegas's defense is not good. But you should be funneling as many targets as you can to George Pickens, and do not give the ball to Najee Harris. That is the recipe for that offense to succeed. Get the ball in the hands of Jalen Warren and George Pickens, and try to shorten this game and hope TJ Watt makes a play.
Or 2.
Or 3.
Yep.
As many as he wants.
Yeah. I'm loving Pittsburgh in this game. I've not been impressed with what I've seen with the Raiders these past 2 weeks, especially on the offensive side. Jimmy G has not really looked all that great. Devontae Adams has not looked all that great. Josh Jacobs has looked pitiful. I mean, we talked about in the last episode. I still can't get over it. 9 carries for -2 yards. Are you kidding me? Someone who spent all this offseason, wanting to get that big contract, and then he comes out here and puts on a performance like that. Yeah, I'm loving Pittsburgh in this game. I thought they played really well defensively Monday night. Their offense did struggle a little bit, but I think Kenny Pickett, has an opportunity to really start building momentum within his game against this Raiders defense, who they're not all that great. So I expect him to have a pretty solid game. Najee Harris, I'm looking for him to have a big game. He's been kind of slow these past 2 weeks.
I don't
So
think it's still
hopefully,
in the tank.
yeah. I mean, he is really slow too. Like physically, he's
so
pretty
slow.
slow.
He
really
looks
is.
like he's running in quicksand.
Yeah. So hopefully this is the game that he can get it right and really, show that this backfield can be his. But overall, I'm liking Pittsburgh. I like what they saw. I like what I saw against Cleveland last Monday night. So give me Pittsburgh to cover it, and I like the over two. I like the under two. I don't see this game being a high scoring game, but I think Pittsburgh does enough to, take down the Raiders.
If Jacoby Myers plays, I have to rethink a little bit. That's the only other caveat I'll throw out there. But
we're talking about believe it or not, the worst rush defense in the NFL through 2 weeks, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
And they got to show me they can stop the run, and I'll bet Josh Jacobs is in for a get-right game as well. Are you ready for some Monday night doubleheaders for the second week in a row?
Oh,
it starts with the 7 o'clock one.
No,
I'm not.
Tampa Bay is giving 4.5 at home against the defending NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles. The total is pretty sharp, 45.5. A couple of 2-0 teams. A lot of interesting storylines here. I mean, but you can't know. I mean, especially because futility is clouding the other. But Tampa Bay here, man. What if they do it? What if they're 3-0 with a win over Philadelphia in their first 3 weeks? What if? We're talking about that NFC South just like how we were the NFC East from 2 years ago then.
Yep, we definitely
at that
are.
point.
I don't think it happens here. It would be a great story. Even though, this team's in my division, I would love to see Baker Mayfield get that win. That would make my year.
That'd make my week at least.
Yeah, it would make my week at least. But
it'd make me very uncomfortable if me and Davidson's bet
I
going
would
on.
really be falling for AJ Brown, wouldn't it? If he was pissed off, if he was pissed off the week before, a loss to Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers.
Well, you're going up against a much better secondary. Going up against a much better secondary this week than last week.
You are, and not quite the same level offense, obviously, but there's not slouches on the other side from you either. And Philly's secondary is beat up. I mean, there's a scenario where Mike Evans and Chris Godwin can go out and dominate this game.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a clear path to Tampa winning this game. I don't know if it's going to happen, But this game I feel like could go either way. 4.5 points feels like it might be too much.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. For me, I think the biggest thing is Philadelphia is going to be playing the best rush defense they've played this season so far. So that's going to be, a thing to really look out for in this game. I know Swift had a really big game against Minnesota last Thursday night, but that Minnesota rush defense is not the same as Tampa's. Tampa's been playing really well against the run these past 2 weeks, so I look for them to kind of make that their focus of shutting down that run game, so it kind of makes Philly kind of one-dimensional in the pass game. Which Tampa, like you guys said, they have a really solid secondary, so I look for them to try to shut down that run game in Philadelphia and force Jalen Hurts to pass it. I think this game's going to be a little bit closer than what the spread is suggesting. Tampa's really been surprising for me, especially Baker Mayfield. I know he's played against really bad defenses the past 2 weeks, but I gotta give him credit. He's been playing really solid. He's been playing really efficient football compared to last year, and especially with the Philly, secondary that is also very banged up, like you guys said. I think there's a lot of opportunities for Baker Mayfield to get things going through the air. I don't expect them to really do much in the ground, just because Philly's rush defense is really good, like really, really good, and I don't see them slowing down much at all. I like the under in this game. I don't see it being a really high scoring game. I could see this being a 20-17, 20-23 type of game. But I think I would lean more towards Philly just because I like the quarterback more. I think that's always the biggest thing is who has a better quarterback at the end of the day. But I think Tampa does make it a little bit closer, but I don't know. This is going to be one of those games where you really look at what Philly can do against a really good defense heading into this Monday night game.
Surrendering the second most passing yards in the NFL through 2 games are the Philadelphia Eagles.
Not good.
Our curtain caller, final game of the week, the Rams and the Bengals, who could be 0-3 when all is said and done here. I think this line is what it is because of the uncertainty with Joe Burrow. There is not a whole lot that we're hearing out of Cincinnati right now about his prognosis, but I think anybody with eyes that has watched him through 2 weeks can clearly gather, Josh, that he's not right.
Yeah, this is one of the more fascinating games of the week, I think.
Agreed.
And not just from a football perspective, also from a betting perspective, I think you're going to see a lot of public money all over Cincinnati all weekend and week
It's
long.
not how it's been so far.
I don't think the public bettors have really started to look towards Monday Night Football yet, though.
Right. So far, all of the bets and almost like more than 70% of the bets and the handles are all on the Rams.
That's sharp money coming in early, I think.
Yeah.
But, yeah, give me the Rams. Burrow, no Burrow, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters at this point because Burrow's not right. And if Burrow's not right, we've seen what this team is without him. I mean, before he came into town, I get it, you didn't have Jamar Chase. But this was not a good football team. I mean, you still had T. Higgins. You still had Joe Mixon. The offensive line, I don't think, is that good without Joe at the helm, directing traffic and running the offense efficiently. The defense hasn't been anything to write home about. I mean, I think the Rams will be able to run the ball against them. Kyron Williams looked awesome last week. I think Puka Nacua will get open against that secondary along with Tutu Atwell. And right now, like you said about the last game, I lean better quarterback. Matt Stafford's arguably been the best quarterback in football to this point this year. So whether Joe plays or not, I think the Rams have the edge at quarterback. And I don't see any way the Bengals roll Burrow out there with Aaron Donald on the other side. Why would you do that?
Getting cashed in the run game.
Why
too,
would
the
you do
Bengals
that?
are.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Gotta look for a good Kyron Williams game.
I am loving the Rams. I've been high on the Rams ever since week 1. They've been playing really well. I mean, they've been playing really, really good football. I thought last week they played okay against like the best defense in the league. So, you got to give them credit there for playing the best they could against that kind of defense. Puka Nacua, what a stud, dude. He's really flashing. I mean, he's starting to become I mean, it's very early in the year, but he's starting to become like a candidate for offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
I mean,
at this rate, offensive player of the year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of crazy. The phenomenon of Nakua, dude, it's amazing. And looking at the stats right here, I didn't even realize that the Rams pass defense is fifth in the league. Fifth in the league, giving up 150 yards a game. Especially if Joe Burrow's out, that's going to be huge coming into this game. I think that's why I kind of lean towards the Rams more, because I don't see them playing Joe Burrow this game. I think they would rather start 0-3 than put Joe Burrow out there and have him injured and have him out for the rest of the year. So I think he does sit this game, and I love the Rams. They've been playing pretty well. They came through. McVay came through last week and covered the spread for me, so that was pretty nice. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think they've been playing super good. I've been high on the Rams, and like you said, if Burrow's out, Matthew Stafford's obviously the better quarterback, but even right now, Stafford's been playing better than Burrow, so I like the Rams in this one.
You know what's going to suck? When the Bengals shut Burrow down for the year, and they end up like 2-15. They let T. Higgins walk and go draft Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh my God, dude!
Could
Chase
you imagine?
Bro, it'd be over. It'd be over for the league. It'd be nasty. I don't want to imagine.
I know that's thinking a long way down the road, but I mean, this season's looking stinky already for Cincinnati.
Speaking of looking stinky, we head to our weekly segment.
Great segue. What a pro.
Yeah, until I completely messed up that graphic. Now here it is. Read them and weed. I lose my lock, and I'm the only one last week to lose my lock and my upset. And I mean, of course, we had the wrong number on Wednesday, and come Sunday, Green Bay ends up being +3 and ends up covering that number. So Josh and I both lose that. Josh and Brad both on a lock agreement, as cover 3 would say, hit Minnesota +6.5. I hit Kansas City -3.5. Lost Baltimore, Cincinnati under 46.5. New Orleans and Carolina under 40, which would be good enough for 2-3 and -1 point for me.
Yeah, Denver and Green Bay both really hurt for me.
Denver -3.5 did not hit for Josh. The Giants, Cardinals under 40, honestly, never looked good from the start.
Never had a chance.
Never looked good from the start.
But God, Green Bay and Denver both felt like they were great.
The Seahawks ended up cashing you for the +2 to bring you back into the green. Brad leads the pace through week 1, hitting Minnesota, not quite getting there on the Giants, who won by 3, needed them -6. The upset loss does not hurt him. The lock win was the big one because he was the only one that won his lock, avoiding the dreaded -2. So Brad sits in first place as of right now with
thank God to McVay.
Points.
Oh, thank God McVay kicked that field goal.
Now, without further ado, I will go ahead and lead it off and try to get something back here. So to start, number 1, give me my boys in the points. I'm laying the 10, and I'm taking San Francisco tomorrow night. I'm gonna lay 10 at home.
I like it.
I think the Giants, I don't see how they stay in this game. I think it could get ugly early and often. Give me San Francisco in the 10. we head back to the dog pound. Like I said earlier, I would have a pick in this game, and you can't have me not take Tennessee plus 3.5. I'm going to be on the Titans plus 3.5. I will probably bet it on Sunday as well if it remains. So give me the Titans and the 3.5. To Baltimore, give me the under. I like under 46 in the Colts and the Ravens. I don't think that the Colts will be able to muster much offense against the Ravens, and the Ravens really haven't been blowing any doors off on offense either. They've been scoring some points, but haven't gotten in the 30s yet. I like this game to end 28-14, like 27-10, somewhere around there, and getting an easy under 46. My lock of the week, worth either 1 or -2 points. I don't give a single flying fuck if it's the Jets Super Bowl. Belichick's going to make it 15. Belichick's making it 15.
I love it.
Give me the
2.5?
Patriots. Yep. Since there are 2.5s out there, I'll get New England -2.5. And my upset of the week, I might be talking prematurely, but I have a feeling I'm not going to be the only one. Given that they're +1 at DraftKings, that constitutes me to pick the Minnesota Vikings as my upset of the week. So San Francisco -10, Tennessee plus 3.5, the Colts and the Ravens under 46. My lock, the Fighting Belichicks, they ain't going 0-3. They ain't going 0-3, and they're winning by more than a field goal. And then give me the Minnesota Vikings. Those are the only picks I knew coming in here. I do not know what these two guys are about to hit me with. So, Josh, give me what you're thinking, and I'll tell you the best number.
All right, we're going to start with Seattle. I've got -6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seattle
Death taxes fade the Carolina Panthers until they prove me differently. If my team's going to be bad, I might as well take advantage of it. So I think Seattle's going to take advantage of our our poor secondary play with J.C. Horn out. Dante Jackson, not it. He struggled last week. I look for him to struggle again this week against another solid receiving group. And I think better quarterback play than what they faced last week. Seattle 6 doesn't feel like a big enough number. I feel like this should be 7, 8. It just doesn't feel like any way Carolina should hang in this game on the road. Next, I've got Chargers and Vikings over 54. Give me a shootout, man. Give me a shootout. It wasn't one of my pick 5 last week, but I was on the personally, I was on the over in the Chiefs and Jags game. Never had a chance. I'm hoping that's not the case here. Another big total, but I feel like this one is most definitely justified given not only both of these offenses being phenomenal, but both of these defenses being absolutely abysmal to start the season. I think Brandon Staley's going to try to be better, being a defensive-minded guy, but I don't think it matters at this point. I look for a lot of points in this game early and often. I don't hate Minnesota. I thought about taking them myself, 1 o'clock Kirk Cousins. But, give me all the points. I don't want to root for either side in this game. I just want to root for a high-flying shootout. And then now I'm shifting to Thursday night. You took the spread. I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach on this game. Give me the Giants team total under 16.5. They're not getting 17 points. Tell me how they get there. Like, without Saquon, without Andrew Thomas, this offense is going to struggle to get across the 50, I think. It's going to be an ugly ball game start to finish for the Giants.
So you're taking the team total under.
Yes.
I also got to check and make sure there's no better numbers out there for you for.
Okay. Yeah, I checked.
I can get you a 53.5.
Oh, 53.5. Perfect.
Available
That's what
at
I
FanDuel
personally
right
have.
now.
I got that at FanDuel. Yeah, I got that at FanDuel. That's perfect. So 53.5 there. I'm sure you're probably still checking. I checked not that long ago for the Giants team total. It was still 16.5. I was hoping to find a 17 somewhere, just in case things get wacky.
It's probably still 16.5.
Yeah, I don't think it's going up. It has no reason to. But Yeah, 16.5 doesn't scare me off.
Yeah, it'll be
I think
16 and a
that's
half.
set there to bait people into taking that over. But I don't see any way they score probably more than 10 points in this game. I think there's going to be few possessions. I think San Francisco on a short week is going to grind it out, run the football, and try to shorten this game as much as they can and just get in and get out. That's the reason I don't want to lay the 10 or 10.5, depending on where you get it. But yeah, that's my lean there. My lock of the week is the Dallas Cowboys minus 12. I don't care that it's a big number. Arizona's covered 2 weeks in a row. They're not going to continue to cover all season long.
No,
Vegas isn't going to continue to bring money in because everybody and their mother is betting against them on the spread every week. And these first 2 weeks, Vegas has made it out big. They're not covering 12. I don't care if you get 12.5. I don't care if you get 13, 13.5. Whatever
they're hanging,
number.
They're hanging 11.5 at Bovada and PointsBet.
Hammer it.
You get 11.5.
Give it to me all day. Like, that is just a phenomenal play, I think. I don't see any way that Arizona covers that number or any number that's reasonable. And then we head to Monday Night Football for my dog. Give me the Rams. I feel like we're getting a generous number here. The Rams should be favored in this game. Like, I just don't see any way that you can have the Bengals as a favorite after the way they've looked the first 2 weeks, and with Joe Burrow's health in question. It feels like the easiest dog of the week, I think. The game makes no sense. You got the better quarterback. You've got arguably the better team all around in LA right now, which I did not expect to be saying right now before the season. But they've looked good. Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, Kyron Williams, Matthew Stafford inspire a lot more confidence in me than anything the Bengals have showed to this point. And then you still have Aaron Donald on the other side. They're the better team. I would take them any number you can get for them as an underdog, and I would get it as early as possible because I think they close as a favorite. I think once Joe Burrow, which I think is going to be declared out, I think this line flips.
Could easily.
Yep.
To our leader, Bradley. Let's hear it.
Yes. So me and Josh have two similar picks. I'm going Minnesota and LA over 54. Like we talked about it earlier, this game's going to be a shootout. I do not see how both quarterbacks don't go over 400 yards passing. This is going to be a huge offensive game. No run game is going to be allowed in this game because these motherfuckers are going to air it out like 60 times. They're both going to have like probably 60 attempts in this game. So give me the over on this game, not the under. Give me Seattle covering the spread at -6. I love what I saw from Geno and that offense last week. I think they continue to build that momentum with that receiving core in Seattle. I think that defense is going to have a pretty solid game against Carolina. My next pick is the Steelers +2.5. I really love what I saw from them last Monday night against the Browns defensively. I think Kenny Pickett has a kind of a game where he can kind of build up some of his chemistry with George Pickens. Yeah, George Pickens. They had a pretty big game Monday night against Cleveland. I think they built off that. So give me the Steelers to cover at +2.5. My lock for the week, I'm going back to them. Give me the Rams at +2.5. I'm going back to the Rams as my lock for the week. I think, going into this game, I do think Joe Burrow is going to be, sidelined. So I don't expect, the Bengals to have him at quarterback. And I love what I've been seeing from the Rams. Offensively, I thought they were going to struggle quite a bit with Cooper Kupp out. But Tutu Atwell and Puka Nacua have stepped up. And even Williams, the running back, he has stepped up and really giving them something in the rush game that they haven't had probably since Todd Gurley. So I love the Rams in this game. I think, their defense has shown a lot these past 2 weeks to boost my confidence to pick them for my lock again. And my upset of the week, I'm going to pick my boys. I'm going to pick the Saints to beat the Titans as in the money line. I love what I see from the Saints defense.
Packers.
I think they continue to dominate against a very weak Packers offensive line who are missing quite a few starters. So I hope the offense can start picking up a little bit better on their side of the ball. Hope Derek Carr doesn't come out and play flat in the first half. He needs to come out and really command the offense and command the game in the first half and continue that in the second half. So, yeah, I love New Orleans in this game. I think I know they're going to struggle a little bit with Jamal Williams out, but he really hasn't done too much. And I know Kendre Miller is finally going to have his debut game. So that's exciting to see. So, yeah, give me the Saints as my upset.
So I was able to find you Pittsburgh +3. So you'll get Pittsburgh +3. 2.5 ends up being the best line you can get for the Rams right now. And 6 is the best line you can get for the Seahawks. Upsets all NFC across the board. Davidson with Minnesota, Josh with the Rams, Brad with the Saints. Locks, me with the Patriots, -2.5. Josh with the Cowboys, laying a big number for a lock, -11.5. And Brad on the Rams +2.5. I like San Francisco and Tennessee to cover, Indianapolis and Baltimore to go under. Josh, the Giants team total under 16.5. Chargers and Vikings over, and Seattle -6, which are both plays that Brad likes as well as Pittsburgh +3. Should be a great week of games, guys. I should say. Hopefully I can get off the schneid when it comes to the pick 5, but we'll have to see. Can't be losing locks. Can't be losing locks.
Yeah. Same. I hit a dog and lost a lock. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And McVay we trust. Yeah, and McVay we trust on him covering the covers for the Rams.
So far.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this has been an awesome pod and a good couple of days. We look forward to meeting you guys again next Tuesday for our week 3 review, where we review everything that we just talked about and go over where we might have went wrong and what we got right. Until then, this has been the Debt Row Pod for Brad and Josh and I. We will see you next week.